Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. Welcome to the SACEOS 43rd EXCO Candidates Rally. During this session, each of our candidates will have 2 minutes to share about themselves and why they should get your vote. This year, we have a total of 8 positions to fill for our executive committee. And the positions are President, Honorary Treasurer, Vice President for Professional Development, Vice President for Community, Vice President for Industry and Enterprise, and 3 committee member positions. If you would like to find out more about today's candidates and the AGM, you can visit our AGM microsite by scanning the QR code on the screen. Today's rally webinar will also be recorded and uploaded on the microsite for viewing. We have a total of 5 candidates vying for the 3 committee member positions. The candidates are Ms. Jessie Lim from Fairmont Singapore and Swissôtel The Stamford, Mr. Mark Lim from NEO-TM, Ms. Patricia Cheong from International Conference Services, Ms. Adeline Lim from Resorts World Sentosa. Adeline is also running for the position of Vice President for Industry and Enterprise. And last but not least, Mr. Matthias Kueper from Colomese. Matthias is also running for the position of Vice President, Professional and Development. And now we would like to bring on screen Ms. Jessie Lim. Jessie, please.
A very good morning to everyone. I'm Jessie Lim from Fairmont Singapore and Swissôtel The Stamford, and I'm running for SACEOS 43rd EXCO as committee member. I work in the tourism industry, both in private and public sector. I started my career in events management with Suntec before moving to France in 2005, where I worked for Liberty Incentives, a destination company. So when I returned to Singapore, I had the opportunity to be part of Singapore Tourism Board that lends support to foreign MICE companies for setting up offices in Singapore, and have also worked closely with SACEOS to develop the local MICE industry. I subsequently moved into the hospitality industry, working for several international hotel groups. And with my tourism and hospitality experience, I aspire to drive more positive change towards sustainability in the MICE industry for the greater good. Through mutual learning and collective efforts, I believe we can create a stronger impact, which we can pass on to the next generation of talents. Given the opportunity to serve SACEOS committee, I want to engage my stakeholders to prioritize our sustainable efforts with sound strategic management to ensure cost effectiveness and build Singapore's reputation as a sustainable MICE city. Aligned with Singapore Green Plan 2030, we can work together to achieve ambitious goals through a comprehensive and innovative approach to hosting large-scale greener events. It is important for us to create a network for sharing ideas, best practices, as well as available resources to support every industry member to implement relevant and innovative sustainable initiatives. With the resumption of business travel, I believe we will emerge stronger as an industry together, and we can set higher benchmarks as innovators for hosting green events with our strong commitment to sustainability. And I look forward to meeting every one of you at SACEOS AGM next Friday, and please support my action by voting for me. Thank you very much, and happy almost Friday. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jessie. And now our next candidate is Mr. Mark Lim. Mark, please.
Morning, everybody. Good to see all of you here today. I think there's a lot of the virus going on, so hope everybody's in tip-top shape. My name is Mark Lim, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of NEO.TM and the gym. My background actually is come in a very unique position because I've occupied almost all sectors of the events industry. So I was initially a reporter with the Straits Times for over 20 years, so I was covering events as well. Some of the biggest events in the world, like the World Cup, Olympics, as well as local events whenever whenever there's event in Singapore. But at the same time, I was also a vendor So I was obviously with the CEO of S-Light, which is one of the largest outdoor events and barricades company, and now New.tm. With the Straits Times, I was also an organizer, so I used to give jobs to quite a lot of events companies around Singapore. So I think I've come with a unique set of skills and experience to bring the events industry forward in this uncertain times and in this new era of a post-COVID world. I think that's my main contribution if I come on board as a committee member. Three things that I would like to look at. One is writing a new future. One is looking at new innovative events that we can bring, and one is education. Writing a new future is imperative as we sort of navigate this post-COVID world. What is the future going to be like? Is there going to be restrictions on the number of events or people that we can bring to events? So that will be interesting time, and we need to sort of lobby the government and work with different partners in order to ensure that events come back in a strong way. As for the new events, I don't know whether you're familiar, but the gym has been doing quite a lot of esports events. So we are hosting and have hosted last year as well, the MPL, which is the Moonton Professional Esports League. So I believe esports and more virtual events and interesting hybrid events are the way forward. That's something that we hope to focus on as well. And last but not least, education. I think we all experience a shortage of really good people with hybrid skills and virtual skills. And the gym and we're already working with NTUC Learning Hub to conduct courses for the industry, and I hope that is something that we can a path that we can go on and teach and help people transition to this new normal that we're hoping to bring. So I hope to see you all next week, and I hope you can vote for me, and let's bring events back in a strong way. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mark. And now we'd like to invite Ms. Patricia Cheong on screen. Patricia, please.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Patricia Cheong. I'm Managing Director for International Conference Services, ICS. Thank you for inviting me to be here with you today, and I'm running for committee member for the 43rd EXCO. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the MICE industry for coming to 25 years, so you can tell I'm really passionate about this industry, about our industry, and the power of what business events and events can do in bringing people together, which is essentially important because when people meet, there is where ideas get sparked and businesses get transacted, there's transaction, and there's an opportunity to facilitate change to the world. So in the longer run, of course, business events can also lead to social and economic progress. So why I've decided to run for SACEOS, as some of you might have seen in my video, I used to work for PCMA. So I understand the importance of having a strong industry association to represent us, especially in more challenging times that we are operating in currently. We do need to have a voice that represents us, and also an association like SACEOS with the right mix of people would be able to represent us in driving the right policies for us, and also to give the voice to the industry and to be a platform to bring the community together for networking, for sharing of best practices, etc. So if I'm elected into the committee, a couple of things, two areas that I would like to focus on. One is on talent. As an industry, I feel that we're currently facing a little bit of challenge in this area in attracting talent, retaining talent, attracting new talent, and people finding meaningful employment within our industry itself. So key initiatives needs to be put in place in this area, I feel. And the second area I would like to look at is really the area of empowerment and staying relevant. And we're operating in a lot of changes in a changing environment right now. So relevancy, I can't stress enough of it. And in order for us to stay relevant, there needs to be education, upskilling, reskilling, focusing on building the networks so that all of us can go and progress together as an industry. So these are the two areas that I would like to focus on if I am elected into the committee. I hope to be able to use my experience, my knowledge to share and contribute back to the industry that I love very much. Well, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about myself. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have in the Q&A, and of course, hope and look forward to having your vote during the upcoming AGM.
Thank you for that, Patricia. Let's move on to the two candidates who are running for the position of Vice President, Professional Development. Our first candidate is Mr. Alvin Ting from Orange Room, Over to you, Alvin.
Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you here. Weird, I can't see myself, but yeah. So anyway, I'll talk it through. Just a little bit about myself. I'm similar to Mark. I'm a bit of a hybrid. I came from an athlete background. I've been racing competitive swimming all my life, and I think, as you guys might know, as an athlete, we're quite focused. We set a goal, we train, we compete, and then we review how our performance, and then we go back and train again, right? So this is the capability that we built as an athlete has taught me through in my entire life, right? So I spent about 13 years in corporate, in MNCs, running FMCG, and also in IT line. So within the framework of the corporate, we understand where are the gaps of new joiners, seasoned players, and also all the way up to senior management. But I took the leap of faith and I jumped out of the corporate world to build my own business back in 2006, right? So in 2006, we started off a company called Orange Room, right? Our purpose was to actually help people to be better through fitness, and we use a brand like Trifecta to let people to experience swimming, cycling, and running. So that mindset of my athlete mindset had brought me into an entire new universe, and that I was totally lost. And I believe today, as we fast forward my entire journey, we have successfully brought my company across to 8 different countries today. We have built a team, a very resilient team that drives the business across various pillars, and events is the heart of our business, where we focus on lifestyle, sports, and health events. So if I bring us forward to the last 2 years, and that's the reason why I joined SACEOS, and I was very privileged to be invited as an Exco member. And when I look at the whole ecosystem, we all acknowledge that events cannot be done from a single company alone. It has to be the entire ecosystem. And I believe that word is overly used. And from my experience on running my own business, a collaborative and partnership approach is absolutely necessary. But where do we start? I believe many of us, especially our members, are lost. So if I'm elected, I'm gonna use my business acumen and my professional development capability to bring in a framework that has tied me through the last 15 years within this industry. And I'll talk it through very quickly. There are 4 I's that we find. We first have to identify where we are, where are we going, where's our market, where's our position, and where's our tools. And incorporate it into a real relevant actions of how we can identify our purpose, identify our positioning, identify our personality, and identify the tools that we need to actually deliver. So thank you very much. I wish you all the best in the events industry. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for that, Alvin. Our second candidate, we have Mr. Matthias Quipper from Colon Messe. Matthias will be speaking as a candidate for both committee member and vice president for professional development. Matthias, please.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Matthias, Managing Director of Köln Messe here in Singapore. I've been with the company for 20 years in various roles, more of this time based in Singapore. As one of the leading large-scale trade fair organizers globally, Köln Messe has made a serious commitment towards Singapore, and we have invested heavily into expanding our office and our business here. In particular, with IDEM and Gamescom Asia, we are organizing 2 of the largest and globally recognized business events in Singapore to date. Unfortunately, especially the exhibition organizers are seriously underrepresented within SACEOS for some years, and I want to play my part to change that. I strongly feel the need to contribute, shape our industry's recovery, and help to amplify SACEOS' voice as an association, in particular when it comes to making our concerns and our ideas heard towards relevant government institutions. As an industry, we need to ensure relevance and operate in an environment where all stakeholders can thrive together. As for the role of VP Professional Development I'm running for, it is not only a topic close to my heart, but it will also be one of the key issues shaping our industry in the years to come. The past 2 years have taken a toll on our industry, and many talents have left to take on positions in seemingly more stable industries and sectors. With the challenges and the transformation our industry has been facing, it has never been more important to train and upskill our existing workforce, and on top to continue to attract bright, motivated, and talented people into the MICE industry. Köln Messe Singapore has a long history of actively engaging and partnering with education institutions and positioning the MICE industry as an attractive career option, in particular for the younger generation. This and more I would like to contribute if I'm elected by our members during the upcoming AGM. Thank you very much, and I hope to receive all of your trust and support to be able to serve as active member of the 43rd SACEOS EXCO.
Thank you very much, Matthias. And now I'm pleased to introduce our two candidates for the position of Vice President, Industry and Enterprise. For our first candidate, we have Ms. Adeline Lim from Resorts World Sentosa. Adeline will be speaking as a candidate for both committee member and Vice President for Industry and Enterprise. Over to you, Adeline.
Morning, everyone. This is Adeline from Resorts World Sentosa. I've been in MICE since my first job. I think many of you would know me by now, hanging around with SACEOS events a lot of times. So the passion in me keeps burning, and this is where I want to give back to the industry. So I've been an event organizer in Singapore and Hong Kong, with my last event being the World City Summit and the Mayor's Forum. Sorry? Yeah. So I've been organizing events for the Singapore government, the World City Summit and the Mayor's Forum. Been also in STB to champion and bring MICE events to Singapore, as well as helping them grow. And now at RWS as the AVP for MICE. So other than helping associations to launch events and bring new ideas to RWS, I also champion sustainability for the MICE division here at RWS, which is a very important strategic roadmap for us to achieve sustainable Sentosa. So it doesn't matter which role I play in the MICE value chain. It's more about where my heart is. So I've been involved with SACEOS MICE Challenge, mentoring young talents to understand and pursue a career in MICE. So I'm very happy that now I can officially contribute to Singapore MICE, and I'd like to now push for collective good for the industry with my knowledge in both the public and the private sectors, and with a strong backing, of course, from RWS. So I believe that SACEOS will be the best voice for us all to push new initiatives such as sustainability, to react to industry changes, as well as to represent our needs to the Singapore government. So vote for me as a Vice President for Industry and Enterprise at the coming up SACEOS AGM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adeline. Our next candidate is Mr. Sukumar Verma from Informa Markets. Sukumar, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Sukumar Verma, MD for Maritime and Energy at Informa. Thank you for the opportunity to run for Vice President, Industry and Enterprise. I want to talk about how Informa and I can contribute. Firstly, at a company level, as market makers, Informa has an influencer role. Not only do we have a responsibility, we also have an opportunity to add value to the wider supply chain by supporting advocacy. For example, our current role of UFI presidency, or by taking leadership in areas like sustainability. So as the largest EO in Singapore, we want to continue to support SACEOS and the MICE ecosystem. But what does that mean for my contribution as an individual? My commercial portfolio, the additional responsibility I have of event operations in Singapore, driving sustainability at our events across ASEAN, and my voluntary role as convener of the Technical Committee's task group on sustainability for MICE. All these roles are giving me a very good appreciation of the challenges and opportunities confronting the industry. So there's a very good understanding of the practicalities our supply chain partners are facing. So therein comes my 3-point plan for my position if I'm elected. I want to talk about collaboration, talent, and sustainability. Collaboration underpins everything. This is the new normal, and we need to take it to the next level. It impacts talent. Whilst there is no silver bullet, I think collaboration will help us redefine event operating models that could impact our outsourcing strategies. Sustainability also does not move without collaboration. I will, across my role as convener and my role in Informa, bring seamless harmonization as far as implementing sustainable events is concerned. So I'm here to help enable industry in the recovery phase. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Give me your trust and support with your vote. I look forward to serving you.
Thank you so much for that, Sukumar. Next, for the position of Vice President Community, we only have one candidate this year, who is Mr. Michael Lee from Hustle and Bustle. Michael, over to you.
Yes, SACEOS and fellow members, thank you for the opportunity to serve you. I'm Michael, CEO of Hassan Basel Integrated Experiential Group specializing in creating lifestyle experiences. I've been involved in both public and private sector work, as well as spent the last 12 years in the MICE industry, taking on various roles integral to the success of any event since 2010. Some of you may recognize me as a co-op member in the EXCO, serving alongside our former VP community, Debbie, who has been a great mentor to me and a joy to work with as well. Sadly, the pandemic prevented us from working together longer, and I knew then that I have some very big shoes to fill. I hope that I didn't disappoint you, Debbie, if you're listening, and thank you to the 42nd SACEOS EXCO and Secretariat for being supportive all the same. With special mention going out to my secretarial counterpart, Lynn, who has been equally passionate about serving the MICE industry since day one. In the blinking of an eye, we're now in the third year of combating challenges brought about by the pandemic. It is often said that the worst of time brings out the best in us. I personally think that this pandemic crisis has brought us together closer to fight alongside each other through unexpected obstacles. We all have lost sleep and people along the way. While it can be demoralizing that this appears to be a never-ending marathon, we must always focus on the silver lining. We are still standing after all. The pandemic has certainly also provided us with the opportunity to come together, to strategize, innovate, as well as collaborate as a community under the leadership and guidance of the current 42nd SACEOS EXCO. Their great work needs to be continued by the next 43rd SACEOS EXCO. This motivated me to come forward as a nominee for the role of VP Community, as I do believe in collaboration, not competition. My immediate goal when elected is to bring all of us together, venue owners and organizers and clients, through both physical industry networking events to get to know each other and dialogue sessions to exchange our views. On top of that, I would like to spearhead the building of a MICE ecosystem through digital and marketing means for us to collaborate and transact with each other easier and faster. With that, I'm heartened to run alongside other esteemed industry stakeholders while being provided with the opportunity to strive for progress in our industry. Let us continue to stay optimistic and support the next 43rd SACEOS EXCO. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. For the position of Honorary Treasurer, we also have one candidate, Ms. Priscilla Leong from Expo Trans. Over to you, Priscilla.
Hello, good day everyone, and a pleasure to meet every one of you. Yeah, I'm Priscilla Leong. I'm the Managing Director of Expo Trans Private Limited, a company that is involved in logistics for events as well as providing technical solutions for the events industry. Yeah, I'm running for the SACEOS 43rd EXCO as Honorary Treasurer. I was voted in as a committee member in 2021, the 42nd EXCO, but since October 2021, I've been assuming the role of the acting Honorary Treasurer of SACEOS because the Honorary Treasurer has decided to resign. I would like to provide some continuity to the position and also together with my training, having been I think at least 15 years in the finance industry, another 15 more years in the events industry now. My work experience as well as I've also held a previous position as Honorary Treasurer for SACEOS before. I hope to be able to contribute to building the financial sustainability of SACEOS, working with all the EXCO members, the members of the association as well as all relevant stakeholders going forward. Also having been in the world of the MNC, as now starting up my own company as an SME, I'm actually able to appreciate all the challenges that both parties, both sides of the business faces. In addition, being a supplier in the industry, I think I would like to be able to lend a voice to this group of members, which is often overlooked. Therefore, I sincerely appreciate your vote for me, and I look forward to meeting all of you at the upcoming AGM. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. And finally, for the position of President, we also have one candidate, Mr. Richard Ireland from Clarion Events. Over to you, Richard.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity. As I said, my name is Richard Ireland, and I'm the Managing Director of Clarion Events Asia. I've been a committee member for the last 2 years, and I've acted as the Vice President of Professional Development. Like Priscilla, I've taken on the role of acting president since October, and I'd also like to see continuity in that role. A bit of information, Clarion has its office here in Singapore, and it's our head office for the Asia Pacific region. We're also very committed to this market and to Singapore as a whole, and I've personally lived in Singapore for the past 26 years. I'm a passionate believer in the medium of live events and MICE. I see MICE both as a strong economic bridge facilitating trade, commerce and connections, and a way of bringing communities together. I've benefited greatly from the generosity of past and present MICE leaders in Singapore who invested their time in me and in our sector. And I have the philosophy that if we do well as a sector, our individual members will do well. And in reverse, if our members do well, our sector does well. And now is a time for me personally to put this belief into further service to support the recovery and growth of our industry. There's no question the last 2 years have been extremely painful for many of you, your staff, and of course, your customers and business partners. 2022 needs to see a move towards a more normalized environment. And hopefully, with some of the recent announcements, we are firmly on that pathway. But I understand we all have a long way to go. However, if we work together, we can achieve great things. And with your support, I'm committed to helping SACEOS lead this industry's recovery. Under my leadership, I'm hoping that the 43rd EXCO will focus on the following things. Focus on the reopening and then recovery. This has to be our #1 priority. Continued professional development and talent attraction. This will directly impact the shape of our recovery curve. And we need to be the voice of key industry discussions, whether that be finding sustainable solution that works for all stakeholders, agreeing on standards impacting our industry, participating in dialogue locally, regionally, and globally, and of course, something we've missed so much over the past 2 years, peer-to-peer networking. All I'd say is thank you for your time today. Good luck to all the candidates, and I look forward to seeing you at the AGM next Friday. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that, Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, we've now come to the Q&A session. If you have any questions for our candidates, please feel free to type them into the chat function. We'll give everyone a few seconds to type your questions, and don't forget to indicate who you wish to address your question to. To all our candidates, we'll now invite you back on screen. Please turn on your cameras, but leave yourself muted. Thank you. So we've got some questions that have come in. An anonymous attendee has posed this question for our committee members. How do you think SACEOS can be a stronger advocate and voice for the MICE industry in this crucial phase of recovery? I'm just going to start with Mark. Mark, would you like to be the first to take a stab at this question?
Hi, sure. I think one thing that has been quite apparent in the last 2 years is what our good Richard has mentioned, that I think it's quite a trying couple of years. Not many people know what to do. Whether first of all, I mean, especially the older legacy type event companies, some of them actually adopt the strategy of just waiting it out, and hopefully things will go back to the normal to normal. But I think we have to get the industry to realize that there won't be a return back to normal. I think this is almost as good as it gets. It will improve, but I think the whole future of hybrid events is the way to go. So I think it's trying to get people to understand what the new situation would be, what events in a post-pandemic world would be, and what are the skills required. I think quite a few of us talk about upskilling and lifelong learning, and I think that's very crucial, especially when when a virtual element is going to be part of almost every event. So we see it on the ground that every client actually wants a virtual element, because you actually get to connect to more people, and unfortunately for us, they save costs in terms of having a smaller venue. So I think that's one of the key things that we need to get the community educated on, to learn new skills, as well as to accept the fact that things will be different.
Thanks for that, Mark. How about Jessie? Jessie, would you like to share your thoughts on this? How do you think SACEOS can be a stronger advocate and voice for the MICE industry?
this is actually a very new norm in terms of the new events, and definitely there is a lot of pressure when people talk about sustainability also for events. It's about, how do you do good in the business, in the hospitality industry itself. And I think there's a lot of us, from all the aspects of the whole events experience where we can do more. It's just that there's so much things about sustainability that people don't know where to start. So I guess it's about, how do you actually create awareness within the industry and share the best practices on individual relevant to each of the areas, about food waste, about CSR, about recycling. All these plays a very important part in the event itself, from the very beginning of planning to the execution of event. So I think we have a very strong role to play, and also the voice to synergize with the government in terms of how is there to create and build the resources for the relevant stakeholders. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Jessie. Our next question, also from an anonymous attendee. This is for the professional development candidates. The question is, with many of our MICE workforce having left the industry, how can we attract talent back as we reopen? And how can we better equip the workforce with skill sets and capabilities needed in the new normal? Matthias, shall we invite you to take a first stab at this?
Sure. Let's face it, we probably not be able to compete with the tech and finance sector in terms of salary, but it's not about the money. I think we as an industry need to communicate very clearly what we stand for. And I think the last 2 years, with the digitalization in our industry have also shown there's a requirement for new skill sets in our industry. But the most critical part, I think, is to be proactive as an industry player. I shared earlier in my speech that Kölmesse is working very actively with the education institutions here, with the police, SIT, and so on. And so we help shape the curriculum. We have to help to shape, communicate what our industry needs. We're inviting the young folks into our industry to see what it's like to work here. And most of the staff, and very good staff in our office, actually coming out of this initiatives. And I think it's very important to be proactive.
Thank you for that, Matthias. Elvin, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think, thanks, Matthias. I think you're a very valid point from a corporate perspective. But I think if you really want to look at the entire market today, the workforce leaving industry, there are many various reasons. One of them is probably sustainability. They're unclear on the roadmap. They're unclear where they fit in. They're unclear whether their skills are relevant in the new norm within this industry. I think as an industry, I think we need to repurpose ourselves and position ourselves very clearly. Let's do it in a practical way, right? I think it's very hard for the workforce to get into an unclear industry where they're going to commit a couple, maybe 5 to 10 years of their career lifespan within this industry. Without clarity on the purpose and the direction they're going, I think it would be very unpractical to add in tools, upskilling courses, to train them within this industry where they couldn't even accept the first door in. So I think we should really focus on creating that window, identifying our purpose of this industry where we can really make a difference, connect it to the next generation of talent, and bring them in one step closer before we actually upskill them. So as per my speech, I think we need to identify, position ourselves properly, and be practical, and also always continue to listen and connect with the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Alvin. We have another question here from also an anonymous attendee on the same theme as MICE workforce. The question is, what specific suggestions do the candidates have in attracting new and young blood into our industry? Example, could it be higher salaries, and how will this be sustained? Maybe can I invite Sukumar to have a stab at this question?
Thank you. I think some very clear pathways as far as we're concerned in Informa. There are certain roles, as our industry evolves, there are certain roles where we need to look beyond traditional MICE talent suppliers. Roles in event technologists, roles in digital marketing. These don't necessarily have to be from within the MICE sector. So I think that's point number one. Point number two, be very clear about the opportunity at hand and how our business is going to grow. And therefore, what that means for the people in our business. Be very transparent with our people and say, this is our portfolio for the year. Here are the opportunities. And that's why we need so many people, because we are a volatile industry. We have redundancies at the drop of a hat. And we need to give our people assurance that business has recovered and we are in good shape. Last but not the least, collaboration. I think we need to relook at our event operating models, whether we recruit or whether we outsource. And even if we outsource, there is someone else benefiting and someone else is recruiting. And why not? Ultimately, it has to be a collaborative approach. So we are already in conversation with some partners on evaluating our event operating models. So with some of these suggestions, I think these are things that we need to implement yesterday to give clarity to our people. That I think is the main message here. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Sukumar. Maybe we can have Adeline to also try this question. The question again, if I can repeat that, would you have any suggestions for us to attract new and young blood into our industry?
Well, thank you for that question. I think it's a very important one because I recall when we all first started in MICE, all of us here, in fact, there's no such courses to really prepare us. What the hell is MICE, right? I mean, we all got into it just, like that. So we all learn on the job. I think it's very important now for us to do that continuous engagement through the IHLs, as well as the Singapore government, STB in particular, to really push forward this whole new industry. That is not an industry about just contractors. It's not an industry just about hotels, right? It's really about creation. Every new event is a creation, and every new event allows that person to create something that's totally interesting and relevant for the industry. Every single event is a platform to drive business, to drive trade. So we need to prepare our IHLs to share that same passion with us. And we ourselves should be out there helping them. In fact, if they have talks and seminars, we should be there helping them to encourage all these young graduates to enter the industry. And we ourselves, when we engage them as interns or as working adults, we better show the example that this industry is more than what it is, so that we can continue to retain them. Thank you.
Thank you, Adeline. I'll just have one last candidate attempt this question. Patricia, you did mention something about attracting young talent earlier. Would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Lynn. I believe that the younger generation that we're faced with currently, they operate in a very different mindset. It's very important for them to be able to relate to the meaning and purpose of work. And this is something I feel that as an industry, sometimes we do get caught in trying to make sure that we do our job, we get the events done properly, but we fail to focus our efforts on sharing the whole bigger picture of the economic transformation, of the economic impact of actually having an event itself, and what's the purpose behind it. And with the younger generation, wanting to attract them into this industry without them feeling that they are just churning events after events kind of thing. They need to find a meaning, and they need to find the purpose of it, and how the business event itself is able to help to make an impact on society and having a positive change. So I think this is something that perhaps we need to work together as an industry to do a bit of rebranding and repositioning and re-messaging of what we are doing. We are doing the right thing, and we are all passionate about it, but sometimes we tend to forget that we need to tell more of the stories behind it.
Thank you so much, Patricia. We've got a question here for Richard, also from an anonymous attendee. Richard, the question is, 2022 is poised to be a year of recovery for the industry. What are the key areas that SACEOS will focus on to support the industry's recovery this year?
Thank you for the question. I think as a starting point, we need to listen and seek member feedback. What are your major concerns and what are your priorities? And once we have consensus amongst our members, we then speak as one voice and we can then achieve great things. So if it's about negotiating with agencies about lifting of restrictions, that can be our focus. If it's about developing a talent roadmap, that can be our focus. I mean, clearly for me, these are the two major issues, and that will be our absolute focus. So I think it's really advocating amongst agencies and sharing as one our members' feedback, and then very much really working very hard on the talent. I think if we focus on these two things, and my thoughts are, we need deep impact. We don't need broad impact. Clearly from this discussion today, we have a very passionate group of people who want to help. If we focus on fewer but deeper activities, whether that's on opening, on talent, or on sustainability, we can achieve. But it's very much up to the members what their priorities are, and we will help facilitate that.
Thank you, Richard. Our next question, also from an anonymous attendee. It says, as we look forward to the reopening of the industry, what can SACEOS do to strengthen and bring the MICE community together? Michael, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's important to bring us all together to collaborate and transact faster. So I do believe in the resumption of events for us to increase our face time with one another, as well as, of course, organization of more dialogue sessions for us to exchange our viewpoints. But then again, I also believe in us sharing that common platform for us to know exactly who are the members in the community, so that when we have a project that requires external stakeholders, we know where to look, who to call, and that way, at the end of the day, we do hope that by being able to work together outside of the association, this will also bring the community together in some ways as well.
Thanks for that, Michael. Priscilla, can I invite you to also attempt this question?
I think in terms of collaboration, I think for the restart of the businesses that we are in, obviously, I think the first drivers will be the organizers we need to push the government to open up, and the organizers will need to facilitate their show and have their shows going on. But I think more importantly, I think we also need to look down the line in terms of how the support structure is going to be like, the supply chain down the line. I think it's very important to also look after that, because you guys can run ahead, but if the supply chain cannot catch up, then you also have another hiccup. So I think therein lies, as we move towards restart, there is an importance to play to look at the supply chain down the line, how we can support you, in terms of the supplier side. I think that is something that I would like to emphasize. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Priscilla. We're running short of time, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll just take about one or two more questions. Someone here, also an anonymous attendee, the question is, for an industry that is so diverse, what is our shared purpose? I'm going to leave this open. Anybody would like to take a first attempt at this question? Nobody. All right. Well, I'm going to call.
If
sorry,
I may.
yes? Oh, yes, please.
Hi, everyone. I think common purpose is crucial in our recovery phase. And if there is one thing we could identify, that would be sustainability. It would have a wide-reaching impact to us in terms of our reputation, in terms of what we're doing to embrace this absolutely crucial issue. And this then requires ongoing conversations across the supply chain to make sure we implement it in a consistent and common framework. That would be my take at it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sukumar. Would a second candidate like to try this question? What is our shared purpose, guys, as an industry? Anybody? Michael, would you like to try?
I knew you're going to call me again. I think it's important for the industry as community builders to first focus on bringing communities together. And I think for a lot of us, our work centers around bringing of such communities together. How can we do so? We definitely have to collaborate. We definitely have to see each other as partners. And for us to achieve that bigger purpose, that greater picture, how can we come together in forms and ways that are going to be empowering instead of making it into an either-or equation. I think that's going to be very key for us to see through the third year of the pandemic.
Thanks for that, Michael. I'll just have one last candidate do this question. Mark, would you like to share your thoughts on this? What is our shared purpose?
Hi, yeah, I think for me, the shared purpose is really to bring back events here. I think over the years, over the last 2 years, I think in Singapore, I think I can speak for a few of us here as well. I think we've lost quite a few events to overseas countries, especially Dubai, which has doesn't seem to have too many COVID restrictions. So I think that's really key, to bring back events and bring back top-notch events to Singapore. And also, well, once we're hosting events here, to try and maybe lobby STB to make sure that local representation is strong and good. No point us having international events here and they bring wholesale international companies here as well. I mean, there are international companies here, there are local companies here. It beggars the belief why we actually have to fly in equipment and staff from overseas when actually people in Singapore are well equipped to actually do the event and do it well. So I think that will be one key area that we probably need to focus on and get the industry as well as the market here to realize that there's good talent in Singapore and there's good capabilities in Singapore.
Thank you for that. So the last question for today, we're going to talk about sustainability. This question is from Sarah Chu. Sustainability is more important than ever before. How can we as an industry ensure that we progress collectively to become more environmentally sustainable? Again, I think many of you touched on sustainability earlier on, so I'm going to leave this open. Anyone would like to go first?
Hi, can I?
Hi, Adeline. Yes, please.
Okay. So yeah, we are all on this topic of sustainability. It's very important moving forward because events is one of the ways that we can help push forward this message. And I think if we can all talk about a sharing community where we can share resources, exactly like what Mark and the rest have mentioned, there's a lot of existing resources and talents within our community. If we can talk about sharing, that is possibly one way that we can reduce our footprint. The other way is, of course, to help not just ourselves directly, but to help the companies who have events with us. They can also reduce our carbon footprint. So are we doing anything to help them reduce carbon footprint while they're having events at our spaces, or when you're helping them to organize events? Do you help them in their ESG reporting? So it's maybe could be about working together to develop a business model where we can help them do carbon offsets. That's a possibility. Something that I'm also studying at RWS, talking to a few companies as well as associations who are keen to do this. I think at the same time, while we talk about sustainability, it's still ultimately about the growth of the business. So we still have to stay relevant to our companies, to our customers, and to help them see that indeed business events still have to go on because it's a trading platform. That's all I have to share.
Thanks for that, Adeline. Sukumar, I see you've got your hand up. Sukumar, please go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, this is absolutely key to my candidacy. I think 2 parts to sustainability. Firstly, as an industry, we need to have a framework. There is a difference in being a sustainable company and having sustainable company operations as opposed to running sustainable events. And our position is we need to focus on the latter, running sustainable events, because we are MICE. Once we establish that, then we need to talk about standards and focus on specific areas like net zero waste or anything else. And finally, it needs to be viewed as an opportunity, not as a cost, not as something extra or as a burden that we have to do. So this is probably a framework that I would advocate. And I think this is the way forward to manage our environmental footprint. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukumar. We have time for one last candidate to take on the sustainability question. Anybody else would like to give it a try? Matthias, please.
Yeah, I think as Sukumar said, it's the opening of the industry is an immediate problem we need to solve, but sustainability is the problem of a lifetime and a challenge of a lifetime for us as the industry. So that will be with us for much longer than now just talking about the reopening and bringing back events. For me, it's important that for sustainability, we're not talking about some distant goals we want to achieve in 2030, 2050, but that we're looking now at achievable steps we can all do together. And this is where we all have to work together, the organizers, the venues, the contractors, and see how we can bring us forward here in the next months and not only in the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you so much for that, Matthias. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for the Q&A session. Just a few reminders before we end today's webinar. A gentle reminder to all members, if you have not registered for our AGM on 4th of March, please scan the QR code on the screen, which will lead you to the registration page. We look forward to your support. And lastly, thank you to everyone. Thank you to our candidates. Thank you to all our attendees. We appreciate you taking the time today. We want to wish all our candidates good luck and all the best. And we look forward to seeing everyone next Friday. Thank you and stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.